Welcome back to another Tools, Techniques, Tips, and Tricks, where I answer one of your guys' questions. I got a tractor, now what? Well, I've just recently painted the back blade there. And while it's drying, I figure I'm going to go ahead and grease the front end loader. I've been using it, plowing snow and moving some things around, so I figured it could use a little bit of grease. The questions are, where should I grease? How often should I grease? And how much should I grease? Today I'm going to answer that question. I've already gone around with my tub of towels and wiped off all the grease zerk fittings, and I'll show you how to do that here in a second, to get ready to accept the grease. So right now they should be all dry and I can start pumping grease into them. So let's go over to the tractor here and take a look. So as you can see here, this one's all dirty, and I've already wiped down the rest of them. I've already done this to the rest of them. So all you're going to do is take your tub of towel or paper towel or anything, and you just want to clean off the end of that grease zerk. Just like that. So that little silver thing right there, that's the actual valve. That's where the grease is going to go through. And the reason we do this is so we're not pushing all that dirt and grime and grossness into the joint. We don't want to turn this like you have sandpaper inside there. So we want to push nice, good, clean stuff in there. All the rest of that's garbage around there. You can stick a corner of that in there and try and get some of that out, but it's kind of a pain in the butt and it's not really necessary. We're just after that little silver tick right there. So tub of towels, really great for doing that. So all I'm going to do is stick my lock and lube on there, push it in nice and firm so it's good, and all I'm going to do is pump grease until I see and hear it start to come out of these joints inside of here. That's where it's going to come out at. And we're not trying to go too much here. That's 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I see it moving right back here on the back side. I don't know, probably pretty dark in there. And that's all. That's it. That's all we got to do. Move up to the top one. I'm just going to do the same thing. And all I'm doing is listening and looking for grease. There it is. Done. So you want to grease as much as the joint is going to take. I've seen some videos out there where they say to keep pumping that grease until you see the new grease come out of the joint. That ensures that you get all new grease in there. To me, that's bad advice. There's nothing wrong with the grease that's already in there, except for it's starting to break down just a little bit. And all we're doing is pumping a little bit of new grease in there and some of the old grease out. Not a lot. If you sit there and pump it, you're just gonna make a big mess. So how often should you do it? Well, first thing you should do is consult your operator's manual. And they have some good information in there on how often you should grease the tractor. The front end loader, same thing. And they might give you hours or something like that. And if you keep track of that sort of thing, that's great. For me, I probably overdo it. I grease mine about every month. And the front end loader. The tractor, it gets greased when I service it or in between services about equally. So it all depends on how much you use your tractor or the implement that you're doing. Like for example, my backhoe, it gets greased every day. When I'm gonna be out working on it pretty hard, that first thing I do while the tractor's warming up is I stretch out that arm and I grease every zerk on it. The U-joints on PTO shafts, those get greased daily. Anything that's got a lot of movement, a lot of wear, gets greased a lot more than something that maybe doesn't. So for example, the kingpin on the back blade, that might only get a shot of grease maybe once a year. Depends on how much I use it again. So you just gotta think a little bit, think critically about what you're doing and how much grease you think it's going to need. If you see a joint that's really dry, give it a shot of grease. So where should you be greasing? Everywhere where there's a metal on metal joint, everywhere you see a grease zerk, everywhere you think there might need some lubrication. Again, consult your manual if you don't know for sure. And there are some hidden grease zerks on this tractor, like underneath on the drive shaft and that sort of thing. On the steering, on the axle, back and forth, there's a big bearing in there that needs a bunch of grease. And how much, again, a lot of people, they say, well, just give that one 4 or 5 shots. Well, how much is a shot? A grease pump that's got one of these big old pumps on it might be a lot different amount of grease than something like one of those DeWalt's that you just pull a trigger and it gives a predetermined amount of grease. This one, I have no idea what this shoots out. I'm sure somebody out there may know, but I sure don't. So I just grease until it doesn't need it anymore. There is a thing called over-greasing. And over-greasing is where you have something that's got a seal on it, and you can pump so much grease in there that you actually blow that seal out. That's not the end of the world unless it's something really critical, right? So if you blow that oil seal, then you just either have to replace the oil seal or just kind of clean up your mess. So those ones, consult your manufacturer, operator's manual. Or if you can't find it, just put 1 or 2 shots of grease in there whenever you think is necessary and don't stress it too much. So grease is extremely important for preventative maintenance. It really cuts down on wear time and makes your equipment just last a little longer and operate more efficiently. So anyway, if you like this video, please consider liking and subscribing if you haven't done so already. And check out Tub of Towels, the lock and lube. Links are in the description. Again, if you use those links, it doesn't cost you anything extra, but I get a little bit of kickback. Again, thanks for watching.